Welcome to this presentation on deconstructing the library's web presence and creating brand awareness in the age of portability and personalization. My name is Tamir Borenstein and I'm the Global Marketing Manager for Infors Library and Information Solutions. Now, when we're talking about creating brand awareness, we're talking about promoting the library and the various functions that it fulfills for its users in the local community. And it's also clear that if you look at the web experience today, so the ways in which people interact with one another and the interactions that people expect, that there is an opportunity to change the perception of the library as a place where you merely go to borrow books and create increased awareness of the many diverse services that the library has to offer, and ultimately to create an experience that goes beyond search and beyond discovery. Now, the web experience today is evolving in a number of areas. The web is becoming increasingly customized or personalized. It's becoming increasingly deconstructed in nature. Our social interactions are becoming increasingly important. Information gets delivered onto devices other than the PC. And the web is becoming increasingly smarter and analytical in nature. So here's an example of what we mean when we say personalization. This website, rbkcustom.com, enables a user to come in and entirely customize their shoe before ordering it. The reason this is important is that businesses are creating a true paradigm shift in what it is when we say personalization. And this is something we need to keep in mind, the expectation that is, when we create the online experience for our users in libraries as well. The next area is deconstruction, and here we mean that websites are increasingly being broken up into separate content areas, and each content area becomes portable, meaning that users can move it around on the web page or even export it to other locations on the web. The reason that deconstruction is important is mainly because of the ability to manage customer relationships. When you have a homogeneous environment, you really only can manage customer relationships on your site. However, customer experiences also occur away from your site. In a deconstructed environment, your users can now take, use, and share content and functionality elsewhere, and they can create personal experiences when and where they want them. So here we see some examples of deconstructed web environments. Netvibes.com, iGoogle, the New York Times website where you can create a widget and place that at a place of your choosing, or widgetbox.com. The next area to look at are our social interactions. And there are even those who argue that nowadays our primary source of information will be our social network. Here's a quote from Wired magazine about the vision that Facebook has for search. So Mark Zuckerberg, who is the CEO of Facebook, envisions a world in which users will query their social graph to find a doctor, the best camera, or someone to hire, rather than tapping into the cold mathematics of a Google search. Now, whether this will materialize or not, it is clear that our social interactions increasingly serve as sources of information. And as we develop the web presence for our libraries and create a new web experience, we must keep this into account as we try to drive more people to use the library's collections and services. The next thing to look at in terms of the web experience is devices. And there is not much to say here other than the obvious. More and more people are accessing information on devices other than their PCs. Now, the next area we're looking at is analytics. When we surf the web, we interact with one another, we make our purchases and more, website publishers learn quite a bit about our behaviors. Even by collecting anonymous data, our location based on IP address for example, a site publisher can offer us information that is more catered to our needs or to our demographic group. Now, a lot of the power in analytics is in the proactive managing of customer relationships. As users post information, we can almost in real time learn about their experiences and work to improve that experience as we go along. So at Infors, we have been looking at the trends and the web experience as we see it. And we have created a new online platform called Iguana that brings these various trends together. Iguana is personalized, it is deconstructed, and it's social. The first thing we have done with Iguana is to create an environment that's highly personal. The user logs into the website in order to view an environment that is catered specifically to his or her needs. So in this case, the user views an entirely personalized library page. Right on top of the page is a media browser. The media browser is highly personalized, so based on the user's profile, the system displays items that will be of interest to the user, something like a recommended for you. In addition, the user can scope the display, For example, he or she can switch between most popular books and most popular CDs. It is important to mention that besides items, such as books and CDs, the media browser also displays things like library events. This of course allows the library to promote specific services and not just its collections. Now, an additional component of the media browser is more choice. We give the user the options from within the detailed item display to take certain actions. This can be reserving the item, sharing the item with a friend, or searching for the item in the library's catalog and beyond. The next part of the Iguana page is the My area. This is really the area where users perform or keep track of their user activities. This goes, however, beyond viewing one's account details, for example items on loans or fines, but also includes activities such as group discussions and social activities, for example connecting with friends around the library services. Now the next concept is deconstruction. Each content area on the Iguana platform is a widget, meaning that users can move it around on their page, they can remove content if they so choose, and they can move it elsewhere, for example to their Facebook or iGoogle page for example. Now I should emphasize that all these settings are definable by the library. Which content can be removed or not is something that's entirely up to the library to decide. Now the next concept is social. This means that users have the ability to share items with friends. They can create affinity groups, for example book clubs. And here's an important point. We don't want users to reinvent the wheel. Most users will already have existing social networks. So we allow users to connect with friends within their existing affinity groups. This is done, for example, through Facebook Connect, allowing users to synchronize their activities on one site with their activities on Facebook. So now that we've discussed in broad terms the concepts that make up Iguana, I want to talk about a few principles that we believe are very important when thinking about creating a new web experience for your users. The first is integration with local systems, such as the integrated library systems, your web OPAC, your federated search application, or the OpenURL resolver. By providing integration with your local systems, you can deliver a truly personalized experience to your users and at the same time offer links to the outside world to find additional information, for example. Now, when we say integration, we also mean integration between the various applications or content areas within the Iguana platform. For example, there should be a direct link from discussing an item to borrowing an item, or a link from sharing an event to actually registering for an event, or a direct link from items in a person's personal profile to groups. If I'm interested in item X, I should be able to immediately create a discussion or a group around it. The second principle is a single environment. With this, we really mean that libraries should use their web environment for both marketing as well as user collaboration. So with Iguana, we created a single platform for both purposes. Iguana includes a range of integrated applications for the library. Think of a survey tool or newsletter application, for example. At the same time, the platform also includes tools for users to collaborate. With newsletters, for example, users can learn about news from the library and also collaborate around news items. Some of the other tools we have seen earlier, social networking applications, groups, etc. These tools allow users to engage with one another and also, at the same time, engage with the library's content. The next point is openness. Openness is important because it gives you simply more control. So Iguana is an open platform. By following our development guidelines, you can add your own applications to the Iguana framework. And you also have the ability to customize the look and feel. Here are two examples. The last point is about analytics. If you can identify trends, interests, demographic groups, you can really focus your marketing efforts. The key here is to have an integrated picture of overall usage and trends. So here are some examples of what we mine in Iguana. Most viewed items, event views versus event registration, and correlated with demographic information, newsletter views, most popular items and item categories, most popular groups, etc. It's also important that there's a direct link to action. For example, if we know that a user or a group of users is interested in a particular type of event, we should be able to easily communicate similar type of events to this group of users in the future. So on a closing note, I think this is what it's ultimately about. Establishing relationships with our users. Once we use the tools at our disposal and capitalize on how today's users behave online, we can establish close relationship with our users and ultimately drive usage of our services and collections. Thank you very much. You can learn more at experience.iguana.com.